Do you smell that? You know what I smell? I smell the finish line. That is right. You guys are so close to the finish line for the story that you're working on and for the quarter. So, congratulations. You are almost there. Let's sprint, right? Like you feel that final burst of energy when the finish line is approaching. That's right now. So, I know that some of you might be feeling pretty tired at this point, but I really encourage you to put in that extra bit of energy right now because even though it's hard, trust me, when you see the story published, you will be glad that you put in that extra effort. I really believe that. I experience it myself. That sometimes you see something and maybe you didn't quite fix something and it just drives you nuts when you see it in print. Or on the opposite end, you're just really thrilled that something that you did got into print. So please, we're almost there. Just let's go for it. So in this eighth edition of the Weekly Planet, I want to go through the week in detail and also just what's coming for the rest of the quarter. And before I jump into anything else, I just want to let you know that we're going to have another Lunch with a Pro this Wednesday at 2 p.m. at the usual Zoom link. We're going to be chatting with Erica Schultz, who is a terrific photographer with the Seattle Times. I had the pleasure of working with her when I was there, and she's still continuing to produce great photos. So chance to meet with an Ace News photographer on Wednesday. Please don't miss it. Not mandatory, but I strongly recommend it. Okay, the week ahead with the final draft. So this is the week for really polishing, filling in any gaps. You should be working closely with your editors. And if you need to contact me for any reason or run anything past me, I have my office hours. Or if you send me an email, if those office hours don't work, we can arrange another time to talk. But mostly you're going to be working closely with your editors. For writers, you're going to be doing a writer's workshop where you're going to be getting feedback from your peers. And then videographers, you're going to be working closely with Isaac, your video editor. Photographers, you all are going to be doing a critique of your photo illustrations and of your story photos with each other in a group, and then also, of course, getting feedback from Sadie, your photo editor. So really spend this week working to polish your pieces so that they shine as brightly as you can get them to shine. It's that final polishing that can really make the difference between memorable and mediocre. It's just how it is with things. That it's those little final touches that's what pushes something to become excellent. And so I really encourage you to apply yourselves to that. All right, so you've been working on your drafts. The writers and photographers, your final drafts are due on Friday at noon. Videographers, your final draft is due Saturday at noon. So just write those on your forehead or on your hand or wherever you need them to be. But remember those deadlines. For each of you, as you are leading up to that, turning in that final draft, you need to create something that will help the editors to fact check. Remember, I'm giving you writers and photographers essentially 2 extra days this week. And it's going to make it a challenge for the editors to get everything done before the end of the quarter because they need to do the final editing on the pieces. And they also need to do the fact checking. So in order to make that all possible, I need you to really have things dialed in for the fact checking. And that means that before you turn in your assignment, you need to create a Google Drive folder. And inside that folder, you need to put all of the records that the editors will need to fact check. So that would include audio recordings from interviews. It would include PDFs or other file formats of any kind of documents that you used that are not available by a link on the internet. Or if you're relying on any kind of handwritten notes, you can literally take photographs of the handwritten notes and insert those into the files. And all of those things should correspond to whatever is in the footnotes of your document. So if you have an audio file, it should be named something so that the editor can find it easily, and that name should correspond to what it says in the footnote. And the footnotes for audio recordings obviously need to be time-stamped. And if there's some fact that you're citing from a report on your footnotes, don't just say, I found this fact on this report. Tell them where they can find that fact. What page is it? Is it on page 3? If on page 3, is it on the left column, on the third paragraph? Really save the editors from having to go on a hunting mission as much as possible. You know where that stuff is more than they do, so please guide them. Okay, so you've created this Google Drive folder. You've put all the stuff into it. Your footnotes are very detailed and they correspond to the documents. And now the last step is that you share this Google Drive folder with your editor and with Alex Meacham, the editor-in-chief. Alex's address for sharing it is right here. Okay, so good. I understand I'm being a little bit anal about this stuff, but we really want to make sure the facts are right, and we want to make sure that the fact checking goes as smoothly as possible. And I hope that you're as compulsive as this about making sure that the writing flows smoothly and reads beautifully. And of course, as I tell people all the time, I'll tell you one more time, read your story out loud before you turn it in. You will hear in your ear things that are wrong with the story that you just don't notice when you're just reading it on a screen. All right, finally, after you've turned in the story, give yourself a pat on the back. Terrific. Be ready to answer fact-checking questions from the editors. They're going to be doing fact-checking next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They're going to be going through each of your stories with a fine-toothed comb, and I'm sure that there's going to be a question that comes up, and they're going to be shooting you messages. You need to respond to those promptly, because otherwise the editing process gets hung up. So just be ready to respond to those. There is a grade that goes along with the fact-checking process, and so that's based partly on how responsive you are. And how much of a hassle the fact-checking is. Okay, there we go. And then next week, the editors will all be working to do any kind of polishing or honing or rearranging or final editing on the stories in order to get them ready for publication. You should find out by Saturday morning, this coming Saturday, whether or not your story is going to be published. So needless to say, I hope everybody's story is published, but it's not uncommon for a few to not make it. The reporting is challenging. Sometimes the sources that are necessary don't come through. So it happens, and it's unfortunate, but if you're wondering when you're going to find out, it should be by Saturday morning, and I wish all of you the best of luck on that. All right, so like I said, next week the editors are working on editing the stories, and then you'll get a final chance to look at the edits to make sure that there are no errors that have been introduced. And then sometime around, I think the plan now is the 10th of June, we're going to be publishing. So that's fabulous. So what are you going to be doing in the interim after you've turned in your final draft? Well, the main thing that you are going to be doing is you are going to be going out and hunting for 2 story ideas for the fall quarter's theme. Remember how you had that story idea list at the start of the quarter that you drew your ideas from? This is how we create it, is that the class before, so you guys right now, will go seek out 2 great stories that the reporters next quarter can jump on. And to do that, obviously, you're going to need to know what the theme is for next quarter. Stay tuned. That's going to be announced at the start of next week. And it's going to be announced by the incoming editor-in-chief. And this is the exclusive breaking news right here, is going to be Olivia Marsh, the current managing editor. And she's awesome. So if you're coming back to the Planet, that's good. I'm really excited to work with her. And I'm excited to find out what the theme is, because right now I don't know. So stay tuned. Okay, so story ideas. Another thing that we're going to be doing next week is we're going to be having our final class. The final class is going to be meeting on Wednesday. I believe it's the 3rd or the 4th of September. Anyway, that Wednesday. June. 3rd or 4th of June. So that is a mandatory class in the same way that the very first class of the quarter was mandatory. Your attendance is expected. And that class is going to be terrific, not only because we are all going to get together to celebrate, but we're also going to do it in the company of Linda Mapes, who is the Seattle Times environmental reporter, and she is a star. She has won national awards for all kinds of work. She has written groundbreaking reporting on everything from indigenous issues to the removal of the dams on the Elwha, to the plight of the orcas in Washington's waters. She's just terrific. And so she's going to sort of like bring our quarter to a close. And I can't think of anything better than that. And so plan to attend that class, 2 p.m., not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. And that's going to be the final class. The story ideas are going to be due after that. Stay tuned on the exact times. And then finally, some people have been asking questions about when they're going to be able to say whether they want to take this class for a grade or take it as pass-fail. And the policy right now at the university is that the default is to have a pass-fail grade. So you would need to request from me a letter grade. And I'm going to create a Canvas quiz later this week where you can fill out, yes, I want pass-fail, or I would like to have a letter grade. But if you don't indicate that you want a letter grade, then I'm going to assume that you want it to be pass-fail. But that's your choice. That's up to you. The cutoff for pass in the class is, I believe the university standard is D+. So there you have that. If you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. If you want to talk about your reporting or anything else, schedule office hours with me, either the regular ones, or if you email me, again, we can find a convenient time. And boy, I'm just really excited to see the final stories. It's always I call it the quarterly miracle, and we're just about to witness that all coming together. So thanks again for your hard work.